Shabbat Shalom.
It's so fun to be in the space with you. We smell the garlic.
Grab some.
We're on page 636. Shabbat Shalom. Yedi nefesh av harachaman meshochatecha eretz zonecha yarutz avdecha כמו הים 636.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is really fun to be in this space. I don't know if you felt that walking in here. I certainly did, especially sitting here and making eye contact with some of you as you giggle awkwardly. And certainly as all of us are really happy to end this week together. I don't know about you, but I feel very grateful that this week is over and that we're headed into a 25-hour period of rest. I definitely need that this week. Reading the headlines, it's probably true that you do too. We deserve this chance to be together, to sit and to sing and to pray and to meditate and to work through our Siddur and work through our feelings, work through all that we're going through in this space. And at times it will feel celebratory. We've got a quartet here with us to make a sacred space. And at other times it might feel somber. But we want to invite you genuinely into whatever it is you need tonight. It could be all of that. It could be just one of those things, or it could be something I didn't name. Whatever it is that you need tonight as we settle into Shabbat, try to give it to yourself. Try to give yourself the space to be fully present with that feeling here tonight. Because this is a gift. We say frequently, Shabbat is a gift every single week, and now's the chance to embrace it. And so you may not yet be feeling celebratory, but we're going to encourage you to move into the Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat with us, praying out loud, feeling a bit of praise, possibly, as we move first onto page 130. For Lechu Naranana, calling ourselves to this sacred work, trying to be joyous, at least joyous that it is Shabbat, now on page 130.
It's not just Shabbat on page 130. It's going to be Shabbat everywhere.
I sure hope so.
Nari ספרו בגויים כבודו בכל העמים נפלאותיו כי גדול אדוני ולעולם מאוד נורא הוא על כל אלוהים איי 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 כי כל אלוהי העמים אלילים בארוני שמיים עשה הון והדר לפניו עוז ותפארת במקדשו ישמחו השמיים ותגל הארץ ירם הים ומלוא יעלו שדי וכל אשר בו אז ירננו כל עצי העל לפני אדוני כי בא לשפוט הארץ ישפוט תבל בצדק ועמים במות איי עליי איי עליי עליי איי עליי איי עליי איי 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 132 אדוני מלך תגל הארץ ישמחו עם רבים ענן בערפל סביביו צדק ומשפט מכון כיסו אוהבי אדוני שנאו רע שומר נפשות חסידיו מיד רשעים יצילם זרו על הצדיק וישרה לב שמחה שמחו צדיקים באדוני והודו לזכר קודשו Page 135, about 5 lines down. Yodu Shimcha Gadol Venora Yodu Shimcha Gadol Venora Kadoshu 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 שמך גדול ונורא. That was an awesome chord just now with our voices. This is the week to repeat the words Kadosh Hu. In our Torah, we read from Parashat Kedoshim. If you have more than one Kadosh, you have Kedoshim. It's the plural of Kadosh. And at the very beginning of the Parsha, it says, Kedoshim Tihiyu. You should all be holy. But we can also interpret that as it is upon us to look around and to declare things to be holy. And so reflecting on this past week before we continue with Psalm 29 on page 137, page 136, I invite you to reflect on this last week and consider what was something kadosh. What were the things that were kiddushim to you over this past week? They may have been right there and you didn't notice them. But thinking back, you could relive this past week. Was there something that you did, that you saw, that you experienced, that in retrospect just may have been holy? Let's think about that for a moment. מזמור לדוד, אבו לאדוני בנעלים, אבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז, אבו לאדוני כבוד שמו, השתחוו לאדוני בהדרת קודש, כל אדוני על המים, אל הכבוד יראים, אדוני על מים רבים, כל אדוני בכוח, כל אדוני בהדר, כל אדוני שובר ארזים, וישבר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון, וירקידם כמו עגל לבנון וסריון, כמו בן רימים, כל אדוני חוצב לעבוד אש, כל אדוני יכיל מדבר, יכיל אדוני מדבר קדש, כל אדוני יכול אל איילות, ויחשוף יערות, ובהיכלו כולו בכבוד, אדוני למבול ישב, וישב אדוני מלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום, לקראת כלה, פני שבת תקבלה, שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ושמו תפארת ולתהילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת תקבלה, לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי בכל הברכה מראש מקדם בסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבתך. Let's hear you. לך התעוררי, 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 כי באורך ומאורי, אורי אורי שירה ברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה show off. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת. Again, 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 again. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. יאללה יאללה היי 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 יאללה יאללה היי היי יאללה היי 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 יאללה יאללה לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. Please be seated. Page 140. מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת. Again. מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת. טוב להודות לאדוני, תודה, ולזמר לשמך עליון, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלב. מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת. Again. מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת. עלי עשור, עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בחינוך, כי שימחתני אדוני בפועלך, במעשה ידיך ארני. מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת. מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת. אגדמו מעשיך אדוני, מאוד עמקו מחשבותיך. איש בעל לא ידע, וכסיר לא יבין את זאת. מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת. מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר, מזמור שיר ליום השבת.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat
Shabbat Shalom.
This week in our Torah reading, we are in the middle of what is called the Holiness Code. At the center of these chapters is the basic idea that in order to become a holy people, we need to behave in extra holy ways, with a list of laws describing how to do that. We read a mini recap of the 10 commandments, honoring your parents, not bowing down to idols, not lying or stealing, and similar ethical imperatives. And in this list, there is one mitzvah that we typically don't focus on, given the more famous commandments on either side. It gets translated by our rabbis to mean, you shall not curse your fellow. It's not quite the same as prohibiting lashon hara, evil speech, which also comes from the Torah portion this week, but it is something else. Many of us know that lashon hara is bad, but cursing people technically constitutes a whole other category of sin. And let's face it, this has not been an easy mitzvah for our people to actually commit to over the course of our history. We are an opinionated people. And following the cliche, we are used to disagreeing with each other. It would be human nature, therefore, to want to curse one another. So historically, Jews combined this cultural predisposition for strong opinions with the halachic prohibition against cursing people, and all of this resulted in a unique Jewish sort of condemnation, a kind of curse that is only sort of a curse. You may be familiar with the Yiddish saying, "Wachsen sollst du wie a Zibbel mit dem Kappen dreht." May you grow like an onion with your head in the ground. In other words, what technically appears to be a benign wish winds up being something very different. A blessing with an edge, you might say. A contemporary version might be, may you get rich beyond your wildest dreams, and may you retire to Florida just as climate change is coming into view. You get the idea. May God bless and keep the czar far away from us. We, as a people, just can't resist a loophole. And the desire to curse one another seems always to remain in every generation, even though we know it is forbidden. Jews have struggled to observe this commandment, presumably since the Torah was given at Sinai. In the 12th century, Maimonides reiterated that it is a commandment not to curse your fellow, likely because he saw people in his own time doing so. He based his argument on a verse from this parsha where we read, Lo tikalel cheresh, you shall not curse a person who is deaf. Earlier rabbis like Rashi point out that part of why this presents a problem is that such a person is not able to hear the curse invoked against them. And then he expands upon it, saying that it is wrong to curse any living being, whether or not they can hear it. And it is equally wrong to curse the dead, who definitely cannot. Cursing another, according to our tradition, is like cursing the God who created that person, which would be tantamount to blasphemy. And these days, cursing one another, vilifying them and wishing them ill, especially our fellow Jews with whom we disagree, has become commonplace. For the past weeks, the clergy of CBE have given sermons about the escalation of public discourse with the protest movements on college campuses reaching a fever pitch, and with the reaction to them polarizing our community even further. And though I think we're doing a pretty good job of holding the humanity of many different people at once and the opinions of many different people at once, holding people together right now may be the hardest thing of all. When Jews from across the various spectra of belief, opinion, and observance can't agree even on the basic terms of our communal debate. At the beginning of this parsha, we read the reason for the commandments therein. Daber el kol adat b'nei Yisrael, speak to the whole community of Israel. Ve'amarta alehem kedoshim tihiyu, as we heard earlier. And say to them, you shall be holy, as in you all, collectively, in the plural. The implication is not merely then supposed to be a list for how to be decent people, but how to be a decent people, because that is the path of holiness in the Torah's view. What follows then are not merely rules about gossip and curses. The laws in this parsha expand even further than that to describe how to build a just and functional society and all the relationships that takes. In verse 17 we read, Lo tisna et achicha bilvavecha. You shall not hate your sibling in your heart. Reprove your kinfolk, but incur no guilt on their account. Perhaps we can take this to mean when you see your fellow doing something wrong, tell them, but be sure to continue seeing them as human. This is as much a lesson for the protesters as it is for the counter-protesters. Rebuke is a good thing, but as Rashi explains, rebuking someone cannot mean shaming them or seeking their elimination. Referencing the Midrash and Talmud, he teaches that if we shame our loved ones, it is as though we have murdered them, and therefore it constitutes a grievous sin. Ibn Ezra reminds us that the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed because of the hatred our people had for one another. At times, friends, it feels like the Jewish world is eating itself alive. Our internecine debates about the campus protests, not to mention our differences in responding to this war between Israel and Hamas, are tearing us apart. And it seems like we too are destined for a temple to be destroyed. Even if we try hard here at CBE to make a space for loving disagreement, and I hope that everyone here feels like there is a place for them, it does feel like American Jewry is on the precipice of some kind of collapse. And if we are failing to be a holy collective of the sort that this parsha commands, it may be because of the way we are treating one another. In the next verse of Leviticus, we read the most famous line of this portion, Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Seems pretty clear, I suppose, except that it isn't at all. For one thing, loving yourself isn't always so easy. And really, how are we supposed to love everybody all the time? What does it actually mean? Rashbam, the grandson of Rashi, says that it only applies if your neighbor is righteous. But if you're wicked, you don't have to love him, which does sound like a little bit of a joke or one of those Yiddish curses. Ramban argues that it means you should wish the same benefits on another that you yourself enjoy, implying that we should build a world of equal benefits and opportunities. And many others, notably Rabbi Hillel, teach this to mean, what is hateful to you, do not do to another. These interpretations are somewhat easier for us to get behind, but given this moment, I choose to read the commandment to love your fellow as yourself through the lens of a different commentary from the 18th century Rabbi Naftali Wiesel. He argued that if your neighbor is kamocha, if they are like you, then they are created in the image of God just as you are. Wiesel understood that when the Torah says to love one another as yourself, it's not speaking the language of extent. It's not about how much to love that person. Rather, it's how to love the person, which is simply seeing them as a person who wants to be loved as much as you do. This reading implies that the Torah isn't commanding us to like people with whom we disagree, but rather to remember that they are worthy of love, and then to remember that we are worthy of love by them and by the rest of humanity. Friends, I don't need to tell you that we are in the throes of something unprecedented in the life of our people. 7 months out since October 7th, we are still reeling, as we are also increasingly distressed every single day by the devastation in Gaza. And as we seek an end to this war, a ceasefire and the return of hostages, we need to find some way of being good to each other, to avoid the human impulse to curse one another or act out, to build the Jewish community that we want to see, which will include many chances to offer rebuke, and to offer that rebuke as humanly as possible. These are the lessons by which our people has endured, and they must remain the benchmarks against which we judge ourselves as we grapple with this time and seek holiness together. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. We continue with Chatzi Kaddish on page 144. Please rise as you are able. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
ויעמד יברך יותי וימליך מלכותי.
בחייכון וביומכון ובחייך בית ישראל. בגלה ובזמן קריב.
וימרו.
אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך.
יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה. ריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תושבחתה ונחמתה תמיד עד מעולם וימרו.
Amen.
146. ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני מבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. Please be seated. Page 148. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. Page 150.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו, ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו. ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגד יומם ולילה.
ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Amen.
בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך.
154.
והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
'Mi Chamocha' is, as we know, taken from the Exodus story, and it is the song of our freedom. And we imagine our ancestors walking through those parted shores, singing those words as they were on their way to liberation. But according to the Midrash, they didn't agree with each other. They didn't really know what was in store. They didn't have the same ideas of what was liberation or what was redemption going to look like. But they did know that they had to keep moving forward. And so they walked through those parted waters. They kept walking until they reached redemption together. And obviously, I'm moved by that metaphor, that story, that midrash tonight in light of the teaching that I offered. But I also think it's hopeful for us as we think about all the strife that we face as we don't really know where we're headed, and the strife we feel with one another, the disagreements that we have. But we continue walking with the knowledge that, as that bracha just said, God did redeem our ancestors once, and God can again. The premise of that prayer, and to some degree the prayer that we're about to pray together, is that God has that power and that we're all here putting energy into the universe, hoping for that kind of redemption and that kind of peace. We're moving now into Hashkivenu, a prayer asking God for protection, because we know we're not yet on the other side. We're not yet in a place of liberation and redemption for all peoples. And so we move into this, locating all the ways in which we feel unsettled and unsafe, and we, in particular, think of all those in Gaza who are unsafe tonight and who are afraid. We think of those who are held in hostage or as hostages in captivity, who really don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. And we think about people that we know who are afraid right now, and we locate all of that in this prayer. As we move now together onto page 160, praying Hashkivenu, asking God to shelter us with a canopy of peace, to shelter all people with that bit of wholeness.
Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu, L'shalom, B'amidenu, Shomreinu, L'chaim, Ufros Aleinu, Sukkot Shelomecha, V'tavineinu, B'tzah tova milfanecha, V'hoshienu leman shemecha, V'hagen ba'deinu, V'aseh me'aleinu oyev deven, V'cherev ra'ah v'yagon, V'archek mimenu avon, V'afesha, V'tzel knafecha tastirenu, Ki shomreinu u'matzilenu ata, Ki chanun v'rachum ata, U'shmor tzitinu, Uvoinu l'chaim u'l'shalom, Ve'ata ve'ad olam, Ve'ata ve'ad olam. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'porei sukkot shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Page 371.
Nisheberach avotenu bekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
We pray tonight for the healing of the following people.
Misher Beirach Imotenu Shmekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
If you know of someone who is in need of support and who could use a conversation with the CBE clergy, please do find us after services and let us know. We now move into the continuation of Ma'ariv on page 162 with Vishamru. Please rise if you're able.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat b'dorotam b'rit olam, b'ni uvein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, ki sheshet yamim
On your pews, you should find these handouts, and they, together along with page 570, will help us enter into this unique holy space of counting these days between Passover and Shavuot as we prepare to bless and count the Omer. First on your handout, and then on page 570.
Leshem yichud, kutshabrichu shinte, hineni uchanu mezuma, lekayem mitzvat aseh, shel sfirat haomer, shel sfirat haomer, shel sfirat haomer, shel sfirat haomer, sheva Shabbatot, temimot tihena, sheva Shabbatot, temimot tihena.
If you're able, please rise. The middle of 570.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu, b'mitzvotav etzivanu, al sfirat haomer, al sfirat haomer, al sfirat haomer, al sfirat haomer. Hayom shmona asar yom, Shem shot shnei shavuot, ve'arba yamim la'omer.
Ay, 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 Today is the 18th day, which is 2 weeks and 4 days of the Omer. We continue on page 586 in the middle.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, latet gedula leotze bereshit, shelo asanu kegoye haratzot, velo samanu kemishbechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 590.
כי המלכות שלך היא ולעולמי עד תמלוך בכבוד, ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אוי ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך
Please be seated.
We now invite forward Molly Silverberg to offer us a few greetings and announcements from our Board of Trustees.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to CBE. Here at CBE, we have members who themselves or whose families come from all around the world, including Argentina, Brazil, Chile, China, Colombia, Egypt, El Salvador, Ethiopia, Ghana, India, Iran, Iraq, Israel, Jamaica, Japan, Kenya, Korea, Mexico, Morocco, the Philippines, South Africa, Syria, Thailand, Uruguay, Vietnam, and many more places closer to Brooklyn, like Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, Montana, Nebraska, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Ontario, Quebec, Saskatchewan, Texas, and even New York City. And no matter where we're from, or what we look like, or what we thought we came here to do today, we are here to do something real together. We are in this moment living the Judaism of our time. We do not have one kind of look. We do not have one kind of name. We come from every race and myriad cultures. You might meet a white Ashkenazi or Sephardi Jew, a black Jew, an Asian Jew, a Latino Jew, an Arab Jew, and no matter what we look like, we might know a lot about Judaism or a little, and we include a lot of people who aren't Jewish. We also have a broad range of perspectives. The only thing you can assume, the only thing you should assume, is that every single person that you meet at CBE belongs here exactly as much as you do. I want to thank our clergy this evening, Rabbi Matt Green, Cantor Josh Breitzer, and cantorial intern Leslie Goldberg for leading us so beautifully this evening. I want to thank the CBE staff, Nate Jaffe for supporting us in person, and Sergei Belyi for providing audio and online support. And I want to thank the beautiful CBE quartet, Paul Francis, Earl Manin, Sean Morin, and Kevin Thomas. You really enliven our services so beautifully, so thank you so much for being here with us. We do have some announcements. Okay, next Friday, May 17th, which is 1 week from tonight, CBE will be holding our second annual Hope for Our Future Award Banquet, honoring the executive director of Israel's oldest civil rights organization. You can find out more on one of these and also in last week's advisory, so do check that out. And on May 30th, come dance in the annual CBE Spring Gala. We've outgrown the ballroom and are moving the party to 26 Bridge in Dumbo, so join us for an unforgettable evening honoring Rabbi Timoner as we kick off her 10th year at CBE. Now, if you haven't gotten the emails, you can check the website. There's lots of places to get more details and to get tickets, so please do that. But in the meantime, join us for Kiddush following services and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Molly. As we move toward the conclusion of our service tonight and words of the Mourner's Kaddish, we want to invite you, if you are here observing Shiva, or the first week of mourning, to please rise and share a name with us. If you are in Shloshim, or the first 30 days of mourning, please rise and share a name. If you are in Shana, or the first year of mourning, please rise and share a name. And if you're here observing a Yortzeit, or the anniversary of a death, please rise.
My grandmothers, Dora Breitzer and Roz Witkoff.
My mother, Eleanor Friedman.
My grandmother, Maria Leschnitzer.
My father, Roger Barnett. My grandfather,
In solidarity with our mourners, I invite you all to please rise as we remember in particular those whom CBE has lost in the last 30 days. David Wolitsky, father of Sarah Wolitsky, father-in-law of George Broadwater and grandfather of August, as well as Jeffrey Siegel, brother of Stephen Siegel, brother-in-law of Mark Silverstein and uncle of Leo Silverstein, and Stephen Sparrow, father of Greg Sparrow, father-in-law of Sarah Sparrow, and grandfather of Sloan and Emma. And though the burial has not yet taken place, we're thinking of Sally Shanerman Spindell, mother of Barbara Spindell, mother-in-law of Jonathan Blum, and grandmother of Lucy and Nathan, as well as the following yahrzeits: Bertha Rosenstock Barr, Carol Baumgarten, Silas Bestoff, Stella Bloom, Dora Breitzer, Leonard Diamond, Celia Ezrol, Eugene Falk, Shirley Fink, Warren Foster, Morris Fox, Lester Frankel, Mark Gibbons, Alfred Glassheim, Marcel Goldmuntz, Emmanuel Greenberg, Gussie Greenberg, Helen Heller, Jacob Himmelreich, Harold Hirschfield, Arthur Kahn, Max Kamens, Esther Katz, Hyman Kirsch, Randy Klein, Alexander Klupt, Lena Lax, Max Lechner, Maria Leschnitzer, Arthur Levitt, Fanny Levy, Harry Levy, Emily Marks, Matilda Mason, Dominic Mateo, Peter Mayer, Philip Mishkin, Carmen Necheles, Charlotte Ney, Eugene Ney, Aaron Perlstein, Lori Reichman, Henry Reinhardt, Jesse Rosen, Rose Roth, Helen Runsdorf-Lee, Bernard Schmidt, Rebecca Schranz, Rose Schuster, Margot Schuster, Harold Silberman, Ray May Stein-Tucker, Aaron Steindam, Florence Warshawski-Harris, Sarah Weil, Gustav Winter, and Rosalind Witkoff. We say Zichronam Livracha, may all of their memories be for a blessing. As we turn now to page 598 for words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitkedal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayachon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. B'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru.
Amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevarach le'olam lamei almaya.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shmei dekusha
Richu.
Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alama ve'imru. Amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom imramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru. Amen.
May the one who makes peace in the high places make peace over us and over all who mourn, as we say, Amen.
Amen. The bottom of 647, blessed as we are tonight by the presence of many students from the Debbie Friedman School of Sacred Music at HUC. May we gain strength from our sacred songs together. The bottom of 647.
Ozi vezimrat yam vayei lishua. Ozi vezimrat yam vayei lishua. Ozi
Shabbat Shalom. Please join us for Kiddush.
Thank you, Mofer. Paul, thanks so much. It's good to see you back.
Shabbat Shalom. Thanks. Yeah. Yes, it is.
Baba.
No, that's Uncle Paul's mom, Nana. Nana. Roz was her name. Hey, come on in. Come all the way in, folks, all the way in. Come closer. Come closer. That's great, please.
Shalom
Alechem, Malachei Asharei, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Forachem Leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Parchuni Leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzeitchem Leshalom, Malachei Ashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Yom HaShishi, Vaychulu Hashamayim v'aretz b'chol tzva'am, Vaychal Elohim b'yom hashvi melachto asher asa, Vayishbot b'yom hashvi, mikol melachto asher asa, Vayivarech Elohim et yom hashvi vayikadesh oto, ki vo shavat mikol melachto, asher bara Elohim la'asot, Savri.
Chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon inchilanu, zikaron le'maaseh bereishit, ki hu yom techila le'migra'ei kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'chata ve'otanu kidam.
מכל העמים ושבת קודשך ויבב רצון הנחתנו
Baruch atah
Baruch
Adonai
Shem.
Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
Chaim.
Since you're standing here, do you want to lead Motzi?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Hamotzi lechem.
Thank you.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Good.